What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. If not, of course, welcome back. Today, we're going to be talking about the LSAT, law school, and how things have changed during the coronavirus. And we're just kind of going to jump right into just different questions and different takes on what's going on and how things might have changed. So I'm going to ask Steve here a couple questions, and we're just going to go back and forth and kind of talk about everything. So the LSAT-Flex. I'm really interested in this because I already took the LSAT earlier this year. I took it twice and it was in person. So what do you think about the LSAT-Flex just in general?
Well, first off, I'm impressed that they pulled it off so fast. And we'll see whether they've actually pulled it off, but whether at least they've gotten it going. So I'm excited because I was kind of worried what's going to happen. The March LSAT was canceled. The April LSAT obviously had to be canceled too. They just can't do this in person, and this thing might go on for months. So to roll out an online at-home LSAT in only a month or so is pretty impressive. And we'll see if they can pull it off, but they've partnered with a company called ProctorU to administer it online, handle the security and all of that. And so I have high hopes for it, and I'm glad that they're taking action on it.
Yeah, I feel very similarly. I think that I'm really surprised as well that they rolled it out so quickly, because, the LSAT, I feel like when I've taken the LSAT, it's very, cut and dry, and it's a certain way of doing things. So I'm surprised I pulled this together so quickly. I think that I did read up that it's going to be shorter. So there's not going to be as many sections. Which I don't know, do you think that's an advantage or not as much of an advantage because people are taking it at home?
It's definitely a more pleasant experience, no question about it, to be able to do it at home in the comfort of your own environment, assuming you've got a quiet home environment to do it in, regardless of who you're quarantined with. But 3 sections, not 5, you're done in 2 hours. That's obviously a more pleasant experience for almost anybody. So I'm glad they're doing that. As for whether it'll be harder or easier to get a certain score, they'll do their raw score conversions and deal with the numbers to make it fair. But if I could pick one versus the other, I would personally pick LSAT-Flex, no question.
Yeah, it sounds like, so if you have the ideal environment, that I think that would be a better situation, being that, you get kind of exhausted towards the end of the test, the way, you're a couple hours in and, last section, your brain kind of starts to wander a little bit. So I think with it being much shorter, if you do have the ideal situation, I think that would be great. But how do you feel about the people that aren't in ideal situations? Their home setting may not be great. They may not have a computer. They may, it's just a rougher situation for them. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that definitely poses a problem. And I'm glad to see at least that LSAC is trying to address this. They'll give people loaner devices or set them up with a location to take it in. And so those folks need to make special arrangements. It's obviously an issue, not only if your home environment isn't great, and not only if you don't have a good device, but what about your internet connection? Or what if you're living in close quarters in an apartment with a number of other people and you just can't control the setting to make sure it's quiet for 2 hours? Now, one potential solution would be if LSAC offered it around the clock, so you could pick the best time for you that would be most quiet. They actually just opened up the LSAT-Flex scheduling, and it turns out that the range of times is 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern. So that gives you some flexibility, but may not be perfect, may not be ideal. And so I would say if you can't get the environment at home to be good, then definitely reach out and try to work out some alternate way to do it.
Yeah, I think they didn't say exactly what they were doing, because I know I saw on the site that they were going to have, there's alternate sources for the people that have a rougher home environment. They did say they were going to do the loaner devices, but they said that you could contact them if your situation was a little bit different. I know personally for me, it was very hard for me to study at home, let alone take the test at home. So, and I have the space, I have the ability to be in a quieter environment, but it's just still a lot of distraction. If people are going up the steps or people are walking by, like, it's just very hard. So I think even if I did have the ideal environment, for me personally, I prefer to go somewhere else and that's how I get my work done. So, I do think it's kind of hit or miss, but it definitely is better than not being able to take it, not being able to have a score going into the school year, or having to settle with a lower score going into the school year. So, I think that really works out best. So do you think that's going to change? Because I know LSAC said that they are taking these scores just as they would take the LSAT scores. Do you think it's going to change anything with admissions? So I know, like personally for me, I had a couple of waitlist options that were still holding off until June. And I think that is because of LSAT-Flex and trying to get a couple people to get their scores in. Do you think that's going to change a lot with admissions during, the end of the cycle?
Well, admission officers are definitely aware of LSAT-Flex. They're aware of LSAT cancellations and all the other things going on, even on the undergraduate level for final semester, spring semester. But they are extending deadlines to account for that. So with regard to the June deadlines, let's say the May LSAT-Flex results are released June 5th. Some schools have deadlines of June 1st. They may extend those deadlines. And then if the June LSAT gets canceled and rescheduled as a flex, some schools may extend deadlines further. And the thing is, schools are not uniform. There are over 200 ABA approved accredited law schools. And so things are going to vary at each one. And they may also change their policies over time. But I'm constantly in discussions and doing classes with different admission officers, and they're on top of it, and they're trying to be understanding too.
Yeah, for sure. And lastly, do you think that, given the circumstances, if they think that this kind of works out pretty well, do you think this will be an option in the future? Maybe in addition to taking it in person, instead of taking it in person, what do you think?
Long term, I expect this to become the new normal. I think there are so many logistical advantages in general, both for LSAC and for many applicants, that it's a no-brainer, especially given the pandemic situation. If there were second and third waves of coronavirus around the world, they have to have the flex option available. And so I think, why don't they just make that the default and then offer in person if somebody can't do online?
I totally agree. I think that it's on the edge of definitely being the new norm. I think, obviously the LSAT was paper and pencil before, then it became digital. The fact that they could whip this together so quickly is kind of leans towards, this is something they could do. This could have always been done. It does have its barriers, but I think an ideal situation would, because again, there's those barriers with people that can't really get the, good setup. So I think an ideal situation would be to offer this or the in-person. I think those two together would be, but even the in-person could be set up like the LSAT-Flex, but you're just going to a different location to take it, because I think the location matters. But I totally agree. I think this is something, as long as it works out well, with this wave, I think it's something that they should definitely keep going, just to be sure that we have something else in the future for sure.
Yeah, and each time they do it, they're going to get better at administering it. I mean, today there were a number of issues on the ProctorU site with signups and such, and there were workarounds, and of course they're getting tons of tech requests and things to figure out. But with each time they're doing May, this was just the first. I'm sure they're going to make June and LSAT-Flex as well. No question about that one in my mind.
Oh yeah.
So that will be slightly better. Then July will be even better than that. Same as the digital LSAT tablet rollout. That was also had a lot of problems the first time, and slightly fewer with each subsequent administration. And I think my tolerance is much lower than theirs is. I think that there should be as few options as as few issues as possible, of course, like anybody does. And I would hold them to a higher standard. And I think their communication could be better, but they're doing their best. They're running through this really quickly. And so there's going to be some issues. And I think even they would say that LSAT-Flex is not the ideal. I think they'd rather do a 5-section exam rather than 3. But they're making the best of the situation like anybody else.
Yeah, for sure. So I think that's all I have as far as the LSAT-Flex. I obviously hope the best for all the people that have to take it. They get their scores out, they get, whatever they need. And I hope it works out well. I hope their scores, they score better than the last time, or they do well for their first time. And I definitely wish them all the best with, going towards the LSAT-Flex.
Yeah, same, of course. And I actually have some questions for you, Taylor, around the whole idea of going to law school, starting law school online this fall, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Well, I know a couple people that are in law school right now that are taking it online. They said it's definitely difficult. They are tired. It's hard to keep a routine. I know it's difficult. I personally learn better in person, so I could only imagine what it's like to have so many distractions. Law school is hard, and if you have a lot of people around you, you're at home, and again, the whole home situation, it's difficult. I'm a little nervous going into the fall because I personally do not want my classes to be online. Also, I'm from New York and I'm going to Ohio State. So, that being said, this I would be moving to Ohio. So it's that in itself is a little rough because it's like if it's online, when do I move? Do I still move and just do it like at home online from Ohio? Um, Even just the housing, trying to find a roommate right now is hard because everyone's really scared about what's going to happen. So it's a lot of different things that are definitely difficult going into this year. I just really have to see what happens. I'm just waiting.
Yeah, of course. If you throw into the mix not only just simply where your classes are, but where your life is, and
Mhm.
obviously hard to find a place to live under these
Yeah,
circumstances.
for sure. I don't know if I don't know. I know Ohio State specifically is keeping us updated with emails, kind of saying what they're going to do going forward. I know in general, a couple states started opening up this week. Ohio is not one of them, I don't believe. Um, so they're letting us know. They're definitely letting us know what's going on. I think personally, I would like to still move out there as long as things don't escalate, things are continuing to decrease going forward and through the summertime, whether the fall classes are online or not. I think I do want to still move out there. It's a better situation for me. I would, if I do have to start law school online, I would prefer it being somewhere else, living somewhere else, being at the school. I just think it would be a better situation for me personally.
Yeah, coming back to the idea of home environment being a good place to study, having a good spot that's quiet, good internet, no distractions, where you could really focus and buckle down.
For sure, for sure.
Well, I wish you all the best with it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm very excited. I'm very nervous, but I think it's going to be a good year, and I look forward to everything getting better around the world.
Same. I think we can both agree on that. So, for folks watching on my end, do you want to share the best way for them to follow you and your channel?
Yeah, for sure. You can follow me on YouTube, so you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's Princess Tay, or you can follow me on Instagram. It's Taylor Armani with three I's at the end. Or on Twitter, which is Taylor Armani as well, but two I's at the end. So you can follow me there. I'll have more law school and LSAT related things coming forward. I do talk about other things, but definitely some law school stuff going forward, especially with the coronavirus and updates with that.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah,
I'll include all your links below. And
yeah, and for you as well.
for those watching on your end, I'll just share my resources a little bit. I've got the LSAT Unplugged YouTube channel and podcast, as well as the Facebook group and Instagram. So
Mhm.
I'm following all the latest LSAT-Flex changes, as well as how it all affects law school admissions.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.